There is an extremely common theme amongst all the best mechanical players, such as Primi or Primi. It's that they are actually very comfortable just sitting there holding an angle and then clicking on the head when someone peeks them. If that happens to be something you'd also like to be able to do, then this is going to be the video for you, because I'm going to break it all down in a really simple form. We're not only going to go over just the technique itself and how to actually angle hold properly, but we're also going to go over when to angle hold, when to not angle hold, what to do after you do angle hold and maybe there's still more enemies or you end up missing the shot, and lastly just all the little variables and little bits of nuance to the angle hold that no one really talks about. What do you do when you're holding close but the enemy swings wide? What do you do when you're holding wide but the enemy peeks close? What do you do when you miss and there's more people swinging you? All of these things are things that we're going to discuss today. Now you're going to notice that I come with a pretty unique mindset in how I view mechanics. Long story short, I came from Muay Thai where there were very solved methods to how you should throw a certain punch or kick, and the technique was really refined and set in stone, and it was just a matter of learning the already developed formulas and systems that the Muay Thai world had already established. Transitioning into Valorant and kind of becoming obsessed with the idea of becoming the most mechanically dominant player I can possibly be, I quickly realized that the Valorant world has a completely different take on how to approach fighting in general, and the whole mindset is just really like, let's go with the flow. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, did I lose this fight because my peaking form was bad? What's bad peaking form? No one knows what bad peaking form is, so everyone's kind of focusing on this and everyone focuses more so on game sense. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to scratch that and say, okay, angle holding, what is my system and what are my rules and how do I approach ankle holding consistently, and what idea am I committing to consistently in order to see consistent results? There's so many different options, and if you do something different every single time, basically that's where I say it becomes blurry, because in Muay Thai there was a very set, like, you know, this then this, you throw a jab then a kick, whatever it was very systematic, and you kind of had these habitual things burnt into your brain, like little combos basically. I love the idea of combos. That's what we're working on, so let's get stuck into it. So how do we master angle holding? First of all, we need to master the technique itself by first understanding it conceptually and then repping it out in the most effective ways possible. Secondly, we need to understand the nuance behind angle holding and how to place our crosshair according to the situation, whether it's close or wide. And lastly, we need to develop a specific set of reflexes and responses so that we're making the most optimal decisions without needing to think at all. Now, let's start with mastering the actual technique. First things first, I want you to identify when you actually are holding an angle, and I want you to be really intentional about it. I need you to become calm, relaxed, and patient, and just imagine that you're waiting for an enemy to fall into your trap, because that's basically what you're doing. The focal point of your eyes is extremely important, and I need you to be staring at the actual crosshair, not intensely to the point where you're unaware of everything that's going on around you, but just a relaxed and focused gaze specifically on the crosshair. Where exactly your crosshair should be positioned is something that we're going to discuss soon, but for now, I want you to imagine that someone is starting to appear onto your screen. First things first, your eyes stay on the crosshair. We don't change our eyes from the crosshair to the enemy's head the second we see them. We stay on the crosshair. We're going for click timing here, and the most optimal way to do that is to use your peripheral vision to track as the enemy crosses into your crosshair, which you're focused on, and then click accordingly. Just like the angle hold itself is a trap that we're letting the enemy fall into, I need you to use your eyesight in the exact same way. Eyes stay on the crosshair, target comes out, let them fall into your focal point. And as Sun Tzu said, do nothing and win. That's literally what we're doing here. Do nothing and win. Now, this concept goes one step further, because when this enemy is peeking, you're going to have the impulse to flick your mouse and try and chase the head, but I don't want you to do that, because to do that, we're now adding in an additional 100 to 200 milliseconds worth of mouse movements and click timing and all this extra movement reading for no reason at all. And by increasing your time to kill, you're just hoping that the enemy doesn't know how to peek you properly. And well, I'll show you what a proper peek looks like, because worst case scenario is you've got no time to work with and every millisecond counts. So we're not moving our crosshair and we're actually just click timing. What happens if they go past my crosshair, you might be asking? And that's where I would say you failed step 2, but we haven't spoken about step 2, okay? So you just have to trust me for now. We're just not moving our mouse. Now, by following those steps that I've just given you and cleaning up your angle holds, they by default are just going to become a whole lot more effective, and you're probably going to frag a lot harder. But we can go one step further. Like, it's one thing to learn how to throw a right elbow, but it's another thing to learn how to parry a jab and then launch a right elbow and the enemy can't defend themselves. You get it right in their face. That's That's what we've got to get to. And that's where step 2 comes in. And step 2 actually occurs before step 1. In order to maximize speed, I told you not to flick to the target, right? But now we need to take into consideration that there can be wide swings, close swings, jump peaks, all sorts of things. And before the enemy does peak, I want you to know what they're going to do by using your brain. Let's say this is the angle that we're working with right now, and we need to know how to set up properly. Where should our crosshair be? We need to ask ourselves, firstly, what's actually going on in the game right now? If you're just sitting here and you hear absolutely nothing and it's dead silent, option number 1 is that there probably is nothing going on because your insta-lock Reyna walked up A main solo, died, and the entire enemy team is flooding A site, and well, now you're playing 1v5 retake. But option number 2 is that only 4 people are taking A site and there's a Cypher or a Clove walking up B garage. Now, understanding where the Clove is going to pop out from by getting inside their mind is actually really easy, okay? Think about it. What are they going to do? They're going to want to clear all their angles one by one because they're dry peeking everything. They want a 1v1 fight. They don't want to overexpose themselves. What does that mean? First of all, they're far back, okay? They're far back so that they can peek and just see one single fight at a time. The reason why they're not close is because, well, if they peek from close, they're exposed to multiple angles. This is simple stuff. Number 2, which is the worst case scenario for you as the angle holder, they've watched the videos on peeking that I've put out. They should be taking no more than 2 steps at a time just to make sure that, once again, they're not overexposing themselves, but also that they're preemptively stopping so they're ready to take each and every fight. Not only that, but because we can't hear any noise, this person is clearly trying to be quiet. They're trying to be sneaky, and they're not going to want to take more than 2 steps because that's going to make noise. So they're taking 2 steps at a time in order to make sure they don't make any noise. And this is where they're probably going to pop out. That's where we're peeking from over there. Their head seems to be in line with this chain right here. And if we go back and have a look at what it looks like from our perspective, right there, bang, that's your close hold right there. And now that's why when I don't hear anything at all, I hold close, right? Because, well, it's probably just a lurker, and if the lurker is going to peek, it's going to be from far back. There is the exception where you don't hear anything and the enemy team is planning to just pop out on you. They pop flash, they wide swing, and technically all this logic goes out the window. But that's where step 3 comes in when we talk about reflexes and responses to certain situations. We're going to take care of that, but for the most part, this is the most likely situation, the close peek here. In some of the clips that I'm showing you now, you're going to see that I just telepathically know that the enemy's going to wide swing me, and I actually moved my crosshair out wider. Why do I do this? Am I guessing? No, I'm not guessing. Let's say all 5 people were stacked B main. What is the situation going to look like? Well, smokes are going to get dropped instantly. The Reyna flash will probably get out there close, and then the Reyna is going to swing. All 5 players aren't going to sit there, watch the smokes drop, throw a flash, and then all will start slowing down, clearing the angles one by one, right? This is not what's going to happen. We're not going to line up with the chain here. What's going to happen is your Reyna is going to throw a flash, make some noise, smokes are down, and you're just going to get swung, basically. And, well, we need to anticipate that. The second we see the flash appear on our screen, that should be an indicator that, well, we've got someone running it down. Not only that, but the second we hear footsteps, in all these examples, I just hear footsteps and nothing else. If you can hear someone running up, chances are they're just going to wide swing you, and that's what's going on. Like, there's no world where the Reyna flashes, runs up, gets to here, and then stops and starts clearing his angles one by one silently. Like, it doesn't happen like that. But then once again, even if it does, apply the same logic. You hear the running, so you go wide. They cut noise, so you go close. You just got to read the situation. Now, step 3, like I said, is going to be reflexes and responses. And the first one, the most basic fundamental principle that I want you to apply into your gameplay is left mouse button equals back to cover, okay? It is fall back. If you're holding an angle and at any point press mouse 1 to shoot, you're going to fall back. It doesn't matter what side the cover is on, shoot and fall back to cover. That's rule number 1. I'm not saying when you get a kill, I'm saying immediately after mouse 1 is pressed. If you wait until you register that you've gotten a kill, that's an additional 200 milliseconds, okay? And maybe you haven't gotten the kill and maybe you've missed, right? If you wait 200 milliseconds to register that information, they're going to have an extra 200 milliseconds to kill you when you could have shot and fallen back and given them 0 time. Now, the reason I want this to be your default is because there's actually not a situation in the world where you can really justify just angle holding and just committing to fights. Take this B main fight, for example. If someone was to peek me and they were peeking close and I predict that and I get the kill and fall back, happy days, right? I can't get traded. That's the main point. Let's say I either miss or they go wide and I didn't expect it. I can shoot, fall back, and then I can create other options. I can get close and go wide and catch them off guard, take the initiative in the fight, take control of the fight. Let's say I'm angle holding and then I get triple swung out of nowhere. I can shoot and fall back and be like, oh yeah, I don't even want to fight that. and I can just go and like speed up vents or something with my team. Long story short, just make a simple if statement. If you have terrain and you're angle holding, shoot and then fall back to terrain. Now, the next important reflex to build into our repertoire of reflexes is what to do when we don't have cover, because there will be times, for example, when we're tracing and we're getting close. Technically, it's a bit of an angle hold here. Or for example, we're just creeping up, we're holding, we hear steps, right? What do we do in this situation after we shoot? We have no cover to work with. Let's pretend we don't have this cover. What do we do, right? Well, we need to install a dodge reflex, okay? What needs to happen is I need you to miss this shot and immediately, just like how you immediately fall back to cover, I need you to press mouse 1 and immediately start moving. From the enemy's perspective, the second they see you, they're going to be aiming to this point and they're going to shoot here, but oh, unlucky for them, you're already moving. And well, now they've got to readjust, reread your movement, and you're all the way over here, now ready to kill them. So it would look like shoot, move, shoot. The second you touch something hot, like a hot pan, you're going to instantaneously throw your hand off. And I need you to do the exact same thing here, okay? The second you angle hold, I need you to immediately start moving. You don't have the time to wait the 200 milliseconds for your reaction time, okay? Because if you do, you're giving the enemy time to be like, oh, the head's here, and then click on the head, okay? We need to just break the whole process on how the enemy is trying to kill you. Some more examples. I'm holding terrain with cover, we're holding close, we shoot, we get the kill, happy days. We shoot and we miss, we fall back, we go wide, and we just destroy this person. They're W-king hard. Shoot, whip out a shorty. Get the dog. Like, there's so much creativity you can do, and there's just so many options that you've got, but I promise you, if you... everything's gone. The endless possibilities of outplay potential all goes out the window, and you just throw it all away so you can just commit to this stupid 50-50 fight. Final example, you're holding, you miss, you see two people, just smoke and fall back. Just hold your smoke, happy days. Now, once it becomes instinctive to shoot and fall back, it now becomes a game of what do we do next? And this is where mechanics and game sense tie in together to become one, and where you need good mechanics to be a good game sense oriented player. Here's what I've got so far. If we're on defense, chances are we don't need to get aggressive. We're angle holding and we get pushed by heaps, anticipate the wide swing, shoot and fall back, and then we say, okay, we're not going to throw the side away. We're not going to re-swing. Let's just hold, okay? What's the next angle we hold here? Let's maybe say it's this one. Shoot and fall back, shoot and fall back, shoot and fall back, shoot and fall back, shoot and fall back again, shoot and fall back again. Wide swing, get aggressive on the last person, bang, bang, bang. You get the idea. Now, different story. The enemies have the man advantage and they're like slamming your mid, okay? But there's an enemy lurking up and you shoot and miss and fall back because that's your response, that's your reflex. He's still alive, but the mid players are coming up. I would say in this situation, get close, go wide, take the kill, drop your smokes, and then play from there. We gotta start making some aggressive plays. Otherwise, if we shoot and fall back, we're getting slammed from heaven. You know, we're gonna get proactive. Why do we do that instead of doing, like I said? Wow, okay. At this point, you might be thinking, well, why don't we just commit to the Cypher fight at this point? If we have to take the fight and we're going to the death, why don't we just take this fight and then, you know, go from there? Why do we have to shoot and fall back and then go wide? Well, number one, first of all, we're peeking from far away at first, which is right here. And then by getting close and going wide, we end up about here. We can check that to just make sure. So close angle is here. And then when we get wide and we wide swing, we pop out about here. So a huge difference, right? This Cypher is going to take this fight. He's going to be waiting here, but then we end up here somehow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Alternatively, you take the 50-50 duel and you've got no advantage and you're probably going to get swung by these people anyways. There's just better ways to go about it. Not only that, but you got to imagine what's actually going on inside the brain when we build these reflexes. If instead of sometimes falling back and sometimes going out, we just always shoot and fall back, it just simplifies a huge component of the game. You no longer have to think about whether you should go right. You no longer have to think about whether you should go left. And what's that going to do? That's going to free up more brain power to just frag harder and kill more people and aim better. You don't want to be thinking about all this useless stuff. I do this with my daily schedule. I do the exact same thing every single day, so I don't have to think about it, and I can actually put my brain power to things like these videos. Now, up until now, I've spoken about the concepts that you need to have in your mind, okay? These are all very, very important because if you're going to practice, you need to make sure you're practicing practicing the right technique. But now I'm just going to show you how easy it is to actually develop these skills. Now for the technique side of things, not the situational awareness side of things, just the technique, Valorant Angle Hold V2 is the answer. Press play. Make sure you're on free play mode, not challenge mode, because we're not here for a little cheap dopamine hit of beating a high score, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to set a 10-minute timer, and you're going to sit here in dead silence, focusing on the crosshair and nothing else. Stare at the crosshair, click, move. Stare at the crosshair, click, move. Stare at the crosshair, click, move. You're doing this for minimum 10 minutes on each side until you can learn to not panic, flick the targets, and you can stay focused on the crosshair the entire time. Now, once you got the technique down in Kovacs, you will be able to integrate it into your actual Valorant gameplay, and I reckon TDM is the best way. Especially this map. By making this video, I've probably dropped my odds of becoming a professional player by about 5 to 10% just by making everyone around us better. But we can't have everything in life, alright? But you can have good angle holding if you'd like, and I'm happy to teach you how to do so because at the end of the day, I'm a mechanical coach and that's my job. So link in the description if you want a one-on-one class where we can actually individualize a lesson just for you. But yeah, otherwise, there'll be many more videos to come on random topics and you can try and integrate it yourself as best as you can. All the best. I love you all. See you next time.